Let's go get some more questions answered. Check back in with Lily at social media.
This one says to simplify and express your answer as a single term without a denominator. And then it gives you this equation right here.
So it's a to the third. Is that a? I'm blind.
Yeah, it's
Lily.
a
Is
to
that
the third
on
power.
the bottom?
Yeah, and then a to the fourth power.
Awesome. Okay, so I think I've got the expression on my screen, and it just says to simplify it. So one quick thing I just want to talk about real fast is this idea of simplifying versus solving. Expressions are what we simplify. Equations are what we solve. So the difference between expressions and equations are basically equations don't have an equal sign, hence equations, and expressions don't. This has a lot to do with the exponent properties that we were mentioning a little bit yesterday. And the way that I like to do these problems is I like to expand them and then simplify them, because you can see what's happening and maybe understand a little bit more what those rules are and why. So if I take the numerator of this fraction and expand it, I would get a to the third power, which is a times a times a. So that's my numerator. And on the denominator, I have another a to the third. So again, a times a times a. And then I also have a to the fourth, so times a, and then that's 4 a's. So altogether, actually, you can kind of see it on the bottom. On the denominator, there are 7 a's, hence a to the 7th. So really, you can actually almost say that, all right, if I were to simplify this a little bit, I have a to the third over a to the 7th. That's simpler, so it's not the simplest way. Another thing that we can do to simplify is get rid of things that are unnecessary. And what I mean by that is anytime you have a number divided by itself, or even a variable divided by itself, that equals 1. Always equals 1. And so if you think about this here, a over a, that just equals 1. So essentially what I could almost do is call that 1 times, and then here's another 1, times 1, and then here's another 1, times, and then, and actually we could just say 1 over, and then a times a times a times a. So essentially what's happening is 1 times anything doesn't change a quantity at all. It's called the identity property. 1 times anything is just itself. And so what that means is it's not necessary to really write it there. So what happens is it turns into 1 or cancels, turns into 1 or cancels, 1 times 1 times 1. So what that means is left on the top of this is 1, and on the bottom we have 4 a's. So a to the 4th power. And that, at this point, is about as simple as you can get. So I used a couple properties. I used the quotient property, and I used the product property for exponent properties.
They did mention to write it without a denominator.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? We could do that too. So that would be another property, and that's this property, which will take me a while to explain. So if you have questions on that, let me know.